Hi everyone! Welcome back to MomNMeBeauty. Thank you so much for joining me today. You have arrived at MomNMeBeauty, a place where we post 2 beauty videos a week. On Mondays is Mom and Me Day, and on Thursdays is either Teen Tank with Emma or Mom Moment with me. Today is a Mom Moment video, and I'm going to be sharing with you the drugstore Battle of the Foundation Sticks. I have 3 foundation sticks that I did wear tests on. I'm going to show you application, what they look like initially after application, what they look like after they are set, and finally what they look like after they've been worn anywhere between 10 and 14 hours. If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button down below and the little bell right next to it so you're notified every time we upload a new video. Now, without further ado, let's get started. First, before I show you the application and wear tests, I do want to hit a few notes about these 3 foundation sticks. Like I said, they are all drugstore. The first one is a Maybelline Superstay Multi-Use Foundation Stick. The second one that I tried out was L'Oreal Paris Infallible Longwear Shaping Stick. And the third one is the Makeup Revolution Fast Base Stick Foundation. All 3 of these I have been trying out for quite some time, well before I did this wear test, but I thought it'd be really fun and interesting to do wear tests so that I can show you exactly what they look like on my skin after a long day of wear. One thing to note is that I do have combo to oily skin. However, now that it is summertime, I err more on the oily side than I do on the normal side. My T-zone is where I get the most oil. My cheeks tend to be on the more normal side. Next thing I wanted to share with you is that I do tend to reserve these foundation sticks for days that I don't have to go to work. I did all 3 of these wear tests on nights that I had to work, which means they were worn at least 10 hours. I tend to wear them on days where I only wear makeup for maybe 8 hours. Next thing I also wanted to share with you is that the conditions from one wear day to the next were pretty similar. So the temperatures outside were anywhere between like 85 to 90 degrees all 3 days. I wore them at work, so those conditions were very similar. I set them with the same amount of powder, the same type of powder. I wore the same primer with all 3 of them as well, which I'm going to show you in the wear test. The only difference is on the night that I did the L'Oreal and the Makeup Revolution tests, those were done when I had to go see my dad before I went into work. Now, my dad lives in a senior living apartment where he's got no air conditioning, so if it's 90 degrees outside, it's going to be like 95 to 100 in his apartment. That being said, I wasn't in his apartment for maybe longer than 45 minutes or so. However, it was a little sweat-provoking, if you get what I mean, because it was so hot in his apartment. That being said, the L'Oreal and the Makeup Revolution did have to go through an extra test, if you will. Now, with all that being said, let's get into the wear tests.
So for every single one of these wear tests, I used the Ordinary High Adherence Silicone Primer and e.l.f.'s Prep and Blur Stick. These 2 primers just work really well for me for a variety of different foundations. My first wear test was with the Maybelline Superstay Multi-Use Foundation Stick in shade number 112, which is Natural Ivory. When I show you here how much foundation is in that stick, keep in mind I have been using this, so that isn't like the full amount that comes in the stick. Each one of these foundation sticks, I do apply a silly little pattern on my face, and then I do blend them in with my Clarisonic and the foundation head. While I am blending this in, I'll share with you that this range has 16 shades, claims to have up to 24 hours of wear. It's supposed to be used for covering, concealing, and touch-ups. And on the opposite end, it has a precision tip pointed blender. So this is supposed to be like a beauty blender that you use to blend in the foundation. So for people on the go, I think that's a really good idea. If you want to just throw one of these in your bag and blend it in, it's a really good idea. This is what it looks like after an initial application. So you can see how matte it looks after it's dried down and before it's been set, and it does a really good job of covering up that sizable blemish that I had on my chin. This is what it looks like after it's been set with the Laura Mercier translucent setting powder, and that's what I used for all 3 wear tests. I apologize, I did not include a clip of that powder in this video. It does make it look a whole lot more matte with that powder on. So on this particular night, it had 12 hours of wear. On a night I did not go to my dad's house, so only went to work, and that was it. It broke apart horribly. I'm very conscientious about not touching my face when I go to work, or when I'm wearing makeup, specifically because I don't want to rub off my makeup. You can see here it broke apart on my nose. It completely disappeared around my nose. Broke apart on my forehead, was so patchy. It was awful, and that was in addition to my oil seeping through. From previous experience, I can blot this and maybe get a little bit more wear time out of it, but honestly, I was not impressed with how this looked after I wore it. Second day, starting off with the Ordinary High Adherence primer and the e.l.f. Prep and Blur Stick, and I am using L'Oreal Infallible Longwear Shaping Stick in number 401 Classic Ivory. This range has 12 shades. It can be used for up to 24 hours medium to full buildable coverage. Can be used for shaping and contouring. Out of the 3, this has the smallest shade range. I was quite disappointed with that. It doesn't really include all the different types of undertones in it, but as a plus, it can be used for shaping and contouring. So this is what it looked like after it had initially set. So a little bit less matte than the Maybelline once it was dried down, but not that much. And then this is what it looks like after it's been set with the Laura Mercier powder. Pretty natural looking for me, in my opinion. I didn't feel like I was super duper matte with this. Very natural appearance. So this was worn for 14 hours on a night that it went to my dad's house. It was super hot that night too. It was like 90 degrees. Oh, it was awful. This foundation stick impressed me the most. It certainly, had my oil seep through, but it doesn't claim to control oils. What you can see here is that it barely wore off anywhere at all. Maybe a little bit around the corners of my nose, but everywhere else it stayed put. It looked so together and intact. This foundation stick by far impresses me the most. So moving on to day 3, which is starting off again with the Ordinary Primer, the e.l.f. Prep and Blur Stick, and I'm moving on to Makeup Revolution. I'm using Makeup Revolution's Fast Base Stick Foundation in shade F4. They don't have any shade names. They all start with a letter and then a number afterwards. This range by far has the most shades available, 18 shades. It's supposed to be used for contouring and highlight. It has every undertone in every shade. So you've got your pinks, your neutrals, and your yellow undertones in every shade available in this range. Super impressed with that. And because they have such a large shade range, you can use it to contour and highlight. It is the least expensive out of the 3. Retails for $9 at Ulta. And after I blended this, and keep in mind, you can probably see my hair blowing a little bit in this video, this clip. That was because our air conditioning broke this particular night. So that's what the foundation stick looks like after initial application. I look really shiny, but I think it's because it was so hot and we had no air conditioning. I did the best I could, but it still looks pretty good. And I look shiny again in this clip because we had no air conditioning. It really did dry down. Honest to God, it dried down and it stayed intact. That was the best part of it. So this was worn for 10 hours on a night that I went to my dad's. I can definitely get an extra 2 to 3 hours of wear time out of this foundation stick if I do touch-ups. It didn't break apart or wear off at all. You can see right here, no wear off whatsoever. It stayed intact. It gave me great coverage. The only place it did wear off was right there and that was because I did do a little wipe with my nose and a Kleenex. Stayed intact on my chin, which is where I also tend to get really, really oily. It looks so great. My forehead, you can definitely see the oil seep through, but it stayed intact. It didn't break apart. It didn't look patchy. I'm very impressed with this foundation stick as well.
Okay, so now that the wear tests are over, I'm going to give you what I think is the best out of these three, and this is solely based on what I saw in the mirror every night. Not necessarily what I'm gonna see in the footage or what you are seeing now. So in the mirror, I found that the L'Oreal foundation stick did the best. It didn't break apart nearly as much as the Maybelline or the Makeup Revolution. It stayed put. Yes, I had quite a bit of oil that showed through at the end of the wear test, but it didn't look like there were patches. Like, it didn't look patchy. It didn't look like some of it had worn off in any one particular place over the other. It looked like it stayed put the best. That's my opinion. You're gonna have to let me know down in the comments section what it is you think. Which foundation stick do you think wore best on me? The other thing that I have to mention, and I've mentioned this before, is that normally when I wear these foundation sticks, I do touch up. Even on nights when I'm at work where I don't wear a foundation stick, I may wear like liquid foundation mixed in with the Velvetizer from Urban Decay. I will usually blot somewhere in between my shift or on my shift at work. I specifically did not touch up any particular night because I wanted to see what the foundation stick was gonna look like when it was really put through its paces. So I have worn all three of these foundation sticks well before I did the wear test and taped this video. I know how each of them behave and what I need to do to keep them looking fresh. The L'Oreal, definitely I wouldn't have to blot until maybe hour 7 or 8. It really does last quite a long time. The Maybelline, even before I did the wear test, I was finding that I was having to blot at hour 3 or 4. It wasn't on very long before my oils definitely started to seep through. And the Makeup Revolution is somewhere in between the Maybelline and the L'Oreal. So maybe around hour 6, I would have to blot and maybe put a little powder on as well. All that being said, again, my favorite one I think is the L'Oreal. It really holds up the best, and previous experience has shown me that all I really have to do is blot and then it looks fresh again. The Maybelline and the Makeup Revolution, after I blot, sometimes it looks fantastic and I'm good to go. Usually though, I do have to add in a little bit of powder here and there. So that's just my opinion. Another downside to these foundation sticks is that you cannot mix any powder in with them when you apply them. So for example, whenever I wear cream or liquid foundations, I mix in Urban Decay's The Velvetizer with it, and I've raved about that product in previous videos. It's just a fantastic product. When I mix that in with my creams and my liquids, it gives it a little bit thicker consistency, so not only can I get more coverage, but also it controls my oils a whole lot more. With these foundation sticks, I can maybe set them with the Velvetizer, but I can't mix them in with the foundation sticks. That's one downside to them, but the convenience of being able to, you know, just put a little bit of the foundation stick on, blend it in, and be able to go and not have to worry about mixing it first, that convenience is worth its weight in gold. You know, it's a trade-up. I have to be able to determine, do I only have to wear foundation for, you know, 8 hours and then I don't have to mix in the Velvetizer, or do I need to get a little bit longer wear time out of my foundation, which means I can't use the convenience of the foundation stick. So that is it for the Battle of the Drugstore foundation sticks. I hope that you really enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you give me a big thumbs up down below. That helps me know that you enjoyed this type of video, and I can think about doing some more Battle of the Drugstore brands again in the future. In the comment section below, let me know, have you tried any of these foundation sticks, or do you have a foundation stick from another brand that you really enjoy? Let me know that down below. I would love to hear your thoughts. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing by hitting that subscribe button down below and the little bell right next to it so you're notified every time we upload a new video. Welcome to all our new subscribers. We have several of you who have joined us in the last several weeks. Thank you so much for subscribing, and if you think that our content would be great for some of your friends and family, please make sure you share our channel with them. Make sure that you connect with us on Instagram under MomNMeBeauty and with Emma under Emma_N_2004. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in our next MomNMe video. Bye everyone!